Okay, so today we're going deep. Deep into Middle Earth.
Deep.
Yeah, into the Two Towers.
Right.
And this is obviously a huge part of a much bigger story.
Absolutely.
But our focus today is like laser focused.
Okay.
We're breaking down like the key events within the Two Towers to understand how, the breaking of the Fellowship forces both individual characters and these larger groups to confront their values.
Right.
And make choices that are going to have, a big impact on what happens.
Huge consequences. Yeah, and it's not just a recap.
Right.
We're interested in like the pivotal decisions, right? Like the moments that kind of shift the direction of the story and what those moments tell us about the larger conflict that's unfolding.
Yeah. So let's get into it. The story starts right after the Fellowship breaks, right? Boromir is dead. Merry and Pippin, they get captured by orcs.
Immediately, yeah.
Immediately. And what's so interesting is that like the reason behind that, right? Yeah. It's this messed up prophecy about a hobbit having a powerful ring.
Right.
And they've got the wrong hobbit.
They do.
And it's that wrong information that puts those two, in immediate danger.
Right.
It's really interesting how like bad information can have these huge ripple effects.
It's a catalyst, right? It sets off this chain of events that touch so many different characters, and I think as a result the narrative threads immediately diverge.
Right.
We're following two separate but ultimately connected journeys.
Exactly. And first we have like this relentless pursuit, right?
Yeah.
Of Merry and Pippin by Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas.
Of course.
Their determination is palpable. I mean, they're going through fields, they're going through forests.
Yeah.
You can really feel their sense of loyalty and responsibility pushing them forward.
Yeah.
What does that immediate and unwavering pursuit tell us about the bonds of the Fellowship?
It speaks to the strength of those bonds, forged in their shared experience and this common purpose that they have. But it also highlights, I think, the different skills and motivations that each of them brings to the table, right? Aragorn's leadership, Legolas' keen senses, and Gimli's tenacity.
Right.
They each play a crucial role in their, desperate chase across this hostile landscape.
And then they run into Éomer, right?
Yes.
The Riders of Rohan.
Uh-huh.
And that is just so tense. So there's that initial clash, a suspicion born from different cultures and, coming from totally different places. But it also kind of shows us a little bit of the wider world and the conflict that's going on. What's the significance of that initial kind of, butt heads then potential alliance?
Well, I think it demonstrates the shifting nature of allegiances. During these times of, great upheaval, Éomer's initial hostility, which is fueled by his own, recent struggles, eventually gives way to a recognition that they have a common enemy. And it foreshadows, I think, the crucial role that Rohan is going to play in the battles to come.
Yeah.
And it also highlights how these individual encounters can have far-reaching political consequences. And speaking of captivity, Merry and Pippin, their situation takes a bit of an unexpected turn.
Right. The orcs holding them, they get ambushed by another group.
Yes.
Right. The Uruk-hai, who are like way more focused on this ring everyone's talking about.
They are.
It's like a kidnapping within a kidnapping.
It is. It's like a double kidnapping. Yeah.
What does that internal conflict among, quote unquote, the bad guys?
Yeah.
What does that reveal?
It reveals, I think, a key weakness often found in these seemingly unified forces of evil, right?
Okay.
Internal divisions, competing objectives. Even within Sauron's vast armies, there are these different factions with their own agendas.
Yeah.
And that creates opportunities, for chaos and disruption. And I think it serves as a reminder that even these power structures that are built on oppression can be vulnerable from within. And ultimately it provides an opportunity, an opening.
Yeah, they get out.
Yeah, they do.
Their escape and their meeting with Fangorn.
Oh, Fangorn!
The Ghent. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary.
It is.
I mean, these ancient beings, like living trees.
Ancient, yeah.
And so what's the impact of these little hobbits, like, bumping into this ancient power?
Well, I think it's a clash of these vastly different timelines and perspectives, right? The Ents, they embody this slow, patient rhythm of the natural world. Right. They're deeply connected to the long history of Middle Earth, whereas the hobbits are creatures of the present,
right?
Caught in this moment of crisis. And what's fascinating is how the hobbits, through their simple honesty and their genuine concern for these trees, manage to awaken the Ents from their slumber.
Yeah, and I mean, Wow.
Stir them to action.
What action? Right. From hesitant to enraged by what the orcs are doing to the forest. And that leads to that iconic march on Isengard. It's not about rescuing the hobbits anymore. It's about the Ents protecting their existence.
Absolutely, yeah.
How does this widen the whole conflict, the scope of the conflict, beyond just the ring?
Well, I think it really illustrates the interconnectedness of everything in Middle-earth, right? How even these seemingly neutral forces, when they're pushed to their limits, when their very existence is threatened, they can become these agents of change.
Yeah.
And it adds this ecological dimension to the conflict, showing that the fight against Sauron isn't just limited to men and elves.
It's everyone. Meanwhile, Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, they have their own big moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You see what Saruman's been up to, and then bam, they're face to face with Gandalf. But like, transform.
Yeah.
Reborn as Gandalf the White. What does that transformation signify?
Well, I think it's a huge turning point.
Yeah.
It signifies a shift in power, both spiritually and strategically. You know, he's gone through this trial by fire, and he emerges with greater wisdom, greater authority, ready to lead the forces of good with this renewed purpose. And it injects this much-needed hope into everything that's happening.
And he leads them right to Edoras, the Golden Hall of King Theoden.
Yeah.
And this part of the story gets into like the sneaky, you know, the dark side of politics.
Yeah.
Right? The manipulation with Wormtongue.
Wormtongue,
Saruman's spy.
Yeah.
What does Wormtongue show us about the way evil works?
Well, Wormtongue embodies the subtle power of deceit.
Okay.
And manipulation, right. He shows that evil doesn't always, you know, come in with brute force. It can work its way in by undermining authority, exploiting weakness, poisoning people's minds with lies.
Right.
And Gandalf's ability to expose him is crucial, not just for restoring Theoden's health, but also like restoring the integrity of Rohan.
Of the entire kingdom.
Yeah.
And that includes like bringing Theoden and Éomer back together.
Yes.
So Rohan is back, you know, with a good leader.
On the right path.
It feels like this small but important win, you know, as this darkness is spreading.
It does.
Then we've got the confrontation at Isengard.
Yes.
And like this wonderful reunion.
Yes.
Merry and Pippin are back.
They are.
What does that reunion tell us?
It highlights, I think, the interconnectedness of these seemingly separate events, right? The hunters have found who they were looking for, but in the process, those they were searching for have become agents of change themselves, forging alliances, you know, influencing these major events.
Yeah.
And the message they bring from the Ents, their offer of aid, it speaks volumes about the impact that they've had.
It shows that anyone can have a role to play, no matter how small they are.
Yeah.
Then we have that tense scene with Wormtongue and Orthoq.
Yeah.
He throws that Palantir at Gandalf.
He does.
Like this useless gesture.
Yeah.
But wow, it has a huge impact. What is the Palantir?
So the Palantir is a seeing stone.
Okay.
It allows communication, vision across huge distances. What's crucial is that it's a two-way connection.
Okay.
So Wormtongue's action and Pippin's curiosity.
Yeah. Create this link between Middle-earth and Sauron.
Oh, wow.
It's a symbol of corrupted communication and the danger of not having all the information.
And of course, Pippin, classic hobbit, just can't help himself.
He can't.
That one look into the Palantir, it's all it takes for Sauron to find him.
It is.
And the stakes, oh my gosh, they just go way up.
Yeah.
Sauron is like focused. What does that tell us about the nature of knowledge and power in this world?
That moment, I think, underscores the inherent danger of wielding power, even passively, without understanding the full consequences. Pippin's just curious.
Right. But
that unleashes this huge threat, and it demonstrates how easily information can be manipulated by a powerful evil force.
Right. So that's one part of the story. Let's go to the other one, Frodo and Sam.
Okay.
They're on this journey to Mordor, and it gets more and more dangerous. Right after the Fellowship breaks, they are totally alone, carrying this massive burden, the ring.
Yeah.
How does that isolation shape that journey? Well, it's a stark contrast to the more, you know, outwardly active quest that the others are on.
Right.
Theirs is an internal struggle against the corrupting influence of the ring.
Yeah.
And that's amplified by their isolation and the weight of their responsibility.
Right.
And then they meet Gollum.
Gollum, he's such a tragic, complex character.
He is.
So twisted from carrying the ring for so long.
Yeah.
Frodo and Sam, I mean, you can't blame them that they don't trust him at all.
Of course.
but they have to rely on him to get to Mordor. What is that uneasy partnership? What does that mean?
I think it creates this constant atmosphere of suspicion and danger.
Yeah.
He embodies the seductive, destructive power of the ring. He's a living testament to its ability to corrupt and divide.
Right.
And his divided loyalties. He's pulled in two different directions. He wants the ring, but he's also weirdly attached to Frodo.
Yeah.
He really embodies the insidious influence of the ring.
Absolutely. And then they go through the Dead Marshes.
Ooh, yeah.
It's so haunting.
It is.
This like stagnant water. The faces of the dead. Ugh, it's so grim and vivid. It really shows the path they're on.
Yeah.
What do the Dead Marshes symbolize?
I think they symbolize the decay,
Okay.
both spiritual and physical, that Sauron's wars have brought about, right?
Right.
It's this constant reminder of past suffering.
Yeah.
And the potential fate of those who oppose him. It's
Right.
a harrowing landscape. It really tests them. And it foreshadows, I think, the horrors of Mordor.
Yeah. And they have to travel at night because Gollum hates the sunlight.
He does.
And that makes them even more vulnerable.
Absolutely.
So they get to the Black Gate of Mordor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
It is.
It's so heavily guarded.
Yeah.
There's just no way they can walk in.
No.
It must have been overwhelming. How does that obstacle, really highlight what they're trying to do?
Well, the Black Gate represents the power of Sauron. It's this visual representation of the forces that are arrayed against them.
Yeah.
And the impossible task that they've taken on.
Right.
And it forces them to find these alternative routes.
Right.
Far more dangerous routes into Mordor. And it makes their reliance on Gollum even more crucial.
Yeah. And the Nazgul show up. The Black Riders. So scary.
Terrifying.
Flying overhead. Like Sauron is watching them. They're in so much danger.
Absolutely.
What is that like psychologically, right? To have the Nazgul always there.
Well, they embody Sauron's pursuit
Okay.
and his ability to instill terror. They create this climate of fear and despair, constantly reminding Frodo of the power that's hunting him.
Yeah.
And the fragility of their hope.
Right. Then they meet Faramir
Okay.
and his men.
Yeah.
And they're suspicious, right?
Understandably so, yeah.
Because of what happened to Boromir.
Right.
Frodo doesn't want to say what really happened with Boromir.
Yeah.
But Sam just blurts it out.
He does.
Why is Sam's honesty such a turning point?
Well, it's risky.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it leads to a moment of trust between them.
Okay.
Faramir, despite his grief and his initial suspicion, he recognizes the truth in Sam's words.
Yeah.
And he offers to help them. It shows that even in a world full of lies and deception, honesty and integrity can make a difference.
Yeah.
And it shows that not every man can be tempted by the ring.
That's true. They're still stuck with Gollum, though.
They are.
And he leads them deeper into darkness.
He does.
He tells them about this secret path, takes them up Cirith Ungol, into the tunnels of Shelob.
Shelob! Oh my goodness!
A giant spider. The whole atmosphere goes from like grim to claustrophobic and just terrifying. What does Shelob represent in their journey?
Shelob represents this primal evil.
Okay.
That predates even Sauron, right? It's a descent into pure terror.
Yeah.
A confrontation with a creature of nightmare that embodies the darkest corners of the world.
Yeah.
And I think it's a stark reminder that the dangers they face aren't just political or military.
Yeah.
But they're also, rooted in these ancient evils.
Right. And Shelob attacks Frodo.
She does.
He's paralyzed.
Yeah.
So it seems like the end.
It does.
But Sam steps up.
He does.
And he defeats this monster. How does that fight change Sam?
I think it's a defining moment for Sam.
Okay.
It showcases his transformation from this humble gardener into a courageous warrior. He's willing to face anything to save his friend. And it highlights the power of loyalty, love, and just simple courage in the face of this overwhelming evil. It's really a testament to the strength that can be found in the most unassuming people.
Right. But the victory is short-lived.
Yeah.
Orcs find Frodo.
Right.
And the two hobbits are separated. It's devastating. And the orcs, they want to search Frodo for the ring. What does that separation mean at this point in the story?
Well, it raises the stakes even higher.
Okay.
Frodo and Sam, they've been each other's support system this whole time. Now they're alone.
Yeah.
Vulnerable.
Yeah.
Deep in enemy territory.
Right.
It creates this profound sense of uncertainty.
Right.
And it just makes everything more dangerous.
Yeah. And Sam thinks Frodo is dead.
Oh, no.
He's so sad. He makes a huge decision. He takes the ring.
It does.
He takes on this burden. What does that tell us about Sam?
Well, it reveals the depth of his loyalty,
Okay.
his willingness to sacrifice everything
Yeah.
for his friend.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to his goodness,
Mhm.
but it also shows how powerful the ring is, right? Even Sam
Yeah.
is tempted.
But here's the thing. He puts the ring on and he can understand the orcs.
He can.
And that's how he learns Frodo is alive. What does that change?
That brings back hope.
Okay.
When things were looking really bleak,
Right.
Sam was in despair, and now he has a renewed purpose.
Uh-huh.
But he also feels bad that he took the ring, you know?
Sure.
Without realizing he had actually protected it.
Yeah. And the Two Towers ends.
Yeah.
With Sam realizing Frodo is alive just as the gates of Mordor slam shut.
In his face.
He's alone. He's in anguish. The future is so uncertain. How does that ending make you feel?
It leaves you in suspense.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. The forces of good, they faced so many challenges.
Uh-huh.
They lost a lot. The goal of destroying the ring seems so far away. It shows how hard their task really is
Yeah.
and how resilient they need to be.
It does. And we see all these different stories, right?
dear.
Reaching these crucial moments.
Yeah.
So many threats. Sauron is aware of the ring.
Uh-huh.
Saruman has betrayed everyone.
Yes.
And Mordor. Mordor is just terrifying. So as we think about everything that's happened in the Two Towers, the brave choices, the betrayals, the unexpected alliances, what do you think will have the biggest impact on what happens to the ring? It's a question that stays with you long after the gates of Mordor close.
It does. It does.
Huh?
A lot to think about.
A lot to think about.